serial killer. Lost my words there for a minute. This is going to be a long one because it's like a wrap up for all of fall, so it's got to be like an hour, right? I was really, I think I might have reviewed this book already. Oh my gosh, did I review this book already? I might have reviewed this book already. I don't remember. Hi everyone! I wanted to show you that I'd built my bookshelf that was in a box the last time I was here. Hi! How's everybody doing? I hope you're all well. I'm kind of testing this camera. I got a vlogging camera and I'm just testing it out. I don't know. It just seems so complicated. It's very cozy weather here. We've had snow. Y'all. Tomorrow is the first day of December. What? Oh, and also my light's not working. I don't know what's going on, dudes. I don't know if it's like, what happened? It just turned right off. Maybe it's not plugged in. It is plugged in. Honestly, like, my tech people are off today. So I'm just gonna make it work. I'm gonna make it work for y'all. Oh boy. Oh, I need a right cup of tea. Right cup of tea. I need a cup of tea because it's so dark right now. What time is it? The sun is setting. The sun is setting. And it's 4:15. Okay, let's just forget about that. Let's just pretend that the sun is not setting, okay? All right, let's just pretend that, okay? The sun is not setting. We're on a beach in, I don't know, southern France. How's everybody doing? September passed me by. November passed me by. And October, no, doesn't go that way. September passed me by, October passed me by, and November, it's the end of November now. And I just didn't have, first of all, I didn't have like the best experience for my reading because I was so stressed and overwhelmed. If you've been around my channel for some time and you've been following my little journey, you will know that I had a rough fall semester. I think everyone's having a bit of a rough time. I don't think it's unique to me. So that kind of trumped my reading plans, my filming plans. I really got sidetracked because of school and the semester starting and all of that fun stuff. So I'm not making excuses, just giving y'all an explanation. So I'm here for with a bit of a wrap up, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books, and 2 more that I took up from the library that I want to talk about today. Now, the first 3 I won't say too much about. The first 3 are books that I vlogged. I did a reading vlog back in fall. I did have a little bit of time off. It wasn't really any more time off than everybody else had. It's just that we had Canadian Thanksgiving. And so I had a little bit of time to do a reading vlog. If you want to check it out, please do. And if you're interested in this kind of stuff, on my channel, I haven't been as consistent as I would like to be, but if you're interested, what kind of books do I read? I read thrillers, mysteries. I like nonfiction from time to time, particularly memoirs. I read fiction somewhat selectively, not really selective. I read classics. I've read some classics this year. I was just looking over my list of the books that I read this year. I read so many books this year, more than I ever have before in 1 year, I think, thanks to BookTube. And anyhow, so all this to say that I did do a reading vlog talking about these 3 books, and I really enjoyed all 3 of them. So I don't want to rehash that all today, but just to give you a quick overview, they were all 3 of them really good. If I had to, I don't even think I could, they're just very different, so it would be difficult for me to like rank them. Also, if you've been around my channel for a while, you'll know that I'm not really thrilled about the idea of giving stars to books. I prefer to discuss books, to talk about books, to have a conversation about books. So if a book really offends me or upsets me or I have an issue with a book, I will certainly let people know. Would I give it a 1 star? Would I give it any stars? I mean, it's all debatable, right? 4 stars, 5 stars. It's really hard to, I'm not into the star system. I get that it works for marketing and all of that stuff, but it kind of doesn't fit with my philosophy. I'm more chatty. More of a chatty gal. So They Never Learn was fantastic. I really enjoyed this. It's a very, like, if you like female empowerment, feminism that is about role reversals in part, archetypes being female rather than male, which normally are male archetypes, and you'll enjoy this. The archetype I'm referring to is a serial killer. Is that an archetype? That is the question. Am I using the term too broadly here? The story is about female serial killer. It's set in an academic setting, so it's set on a university campus. And the book opens with her murdering someone, and it's got real Dexter vibes. I think I mentioned a couple times in my reading vlog that it was kind of reminding me of Dexter because she's kind of a moral killer, if you can be a moral killer. And she is mostly killing men who have assaulted women. It's really good. There's a big twist in the middle. I hope that doesn't give anything away that I didn't see coming, because it follows the character that is the serial killer, and it also follows another character who's a student on campus. And yeah, the whole time you're kind of wondering how the two stories fit together, and of course that gets revealed in a kind of a unique way. So I don't really want to say anything else about it because I don't want to spoil it, and I said I would be brief, but this is a great pick. Would make a good gift at Christmas. I can think of a couple of people who I would like to give it to for Christmas. This also, I think, would make a fantastic Christmas gift. And I really, really enjoyed this. This is, I guess, historical fiction mystery. Hard to put it into a box. It's a mystery, but it's based on a historical event, which is the disappearance of Agatha Christie. I did not know this, but she disappeared for 11 days. And according to the story or the legend, when she came back to her family, she claimed she had amnesia. And so Marie Benedict takes this concept and turns it into a story of what her reasons might have been, or what the explanations might have been for the disappearance. And that's all I'm really going to say about it. If you want to follow it a bit more, see what my other comments were about this book, please check out the blog. It's fantastic though. I would definitely give this to like a good girlfriend. I would give it to like a family member, a mom book. Be a great gift. Really good read. Very entertaining, very well written. I kept turning the pages, you know what I mean? And then I read Tara Westover's memoir, Educated. This was really difficult to read. This, I don't know if I would give as a gift. I did receive it as a gift actually last Christmas. And I appreciate the sentiment behind the reason why I was given this gift, because if you've been following my YouTube channel, you know I'm a teacher. So, you know, it was given to me with that in mind, like the importance of education. But it is a harrowing read. It's quite a difficult read because Tara Westover's life was very difficult to say the least. And so it involves a lot of kind of traumatic experiences. So I would give that as like a warning before maybe giving it as a gift or before reading it yourself. But that being said, it's a very eye-opening book about how important it is that we are not sequestered from each other, that we're not living in isolation, because it's really about the story of her being raised in a family that was very isolated from the rest of the world. And it just opens up would open up your eyes to the issues that are created by that kind of othering of other people and cutting yourself off from the world and the villainization of the government and systems. I thought it was a really interesting read. I'm really glad I read it, but like I say, it was pretty intense. So those are the ones that I covered in my vlog, and I really enjoyed all of them. It was a really good reading week. Oh, I forgot that I read Oh, my heart is a chainsaw. Let's get it from my shelf. I'm using this camera. I don't honestly know how long it's going to film for, so let's see what happens. If it stops, I'll just have to restart again. It's all new. It's all new. So what else did I read this month? I also read another memoir, which was harrowing in a completely different way. Broken, but in the best possible way, by Jenny Lawson. And it was really good, very eye-opening. In it, she is very open about her struggles with mental illness. And it's written in, the chapters are kind of like a series of short stories, and she sprinkles very kind of serious, like it's like a collected stories of a feeling to it. She kind of intersperses serious stories about her experience with mental illness and the problems that mental illness has created for her just in being able to live her life. And kind of comedy, like really trying to keep it light by offering a lot of humoristic stories as well, intermixed. I will say that I don't know if it's just like I'm a serious person. I think I'm a pretty goofy person, but I didn't really connect with the type of humor. I don't know. It's not my kind of humor. So I think it depends. Humor is one of those things that's very difficult because not everybody has the same sense of humor, right? So it's one of the things, like when I talk about advertising, because I teach classes about marketing, and when I talk about the way we use humor in ads, it's very difficult to use humor because lots of things don't translate between different cultures. So I didn't really connect with her sense of humor, but I really appreciated how open and honest she was writing about mental illness. She has one chapter where she writes a letter to her insurance company, and it's so good. It's just so well done. And I even had a quote that I had picked. So I'm just going to grab my phone so I can read you that quote. Let's see. Did I mark it as a favorite? Ooh, that would have been really smart if I had. Oh, I did. Oh, I'm so organized. Because I took this book out of the library, so I don't still have it with me, but I did want to read out a quote that really touched me. So in this part of the book, she's talking about how dementia runs in her family. And I just thought it was I really felt it hard because I'm dealing with my parents and their dementia. So she writes, I've seen family lose themselves and felt the sadness as they look at me without recognition. But I've also seen them later remember everything perfectly. It's all there, just locked away for safekeeping, perhaps. It's a comforting thought that I can already relate to myself. I have a hole in my head where I fall through. It's all in that hole, I suspect. It's real, it's true, it's locked away in a treasure box. Just because I don't remember, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. And if one day I look at you and don't remember who you are or how much you mean to me, know that your importance is still as real then as it is now. I mean, because I think if you have relatives who have dementia or if you have any mental health concerns, like you can worry about getting dementia later in life. And I don't know, just really that quote really touched me. So I think, it was totally worth my time. I don't know. Again, the humor part, like the humor didn't translate fully for me. So when I was reading the humorous sections, I did find myself kind of like, eh. But I enjoyed the other parts so much that it made up for it. What else? I mean, I read some stuff that I don't even know if I'm going to talk about because I read The Cave Dwellers. Now, I don't really want to spend a ton of time on this because The Cave Dwellers for me was a pretty disappointing read. I thought it was going to be really good. The only thing that I liked about this book is that it's set in Washington, D.C., and there are little clips in the book throughout the book that describe kind of historical landmarks and secret societies and stuff. So I learned a lot about the history of Washington, D.C., and that I really appreciated. But the story itself just was kind of terrible. It was like a non-story, and it was very sort of disappointing. I think it's her first novel, so I kind of feel maybe with the next one it'll be better. Because I thought that the premise could have been really good. I mean, I think there were a lot of parallels to real life, old kind of wealthy DC families who are in politics, and the senator who's like running on a platform around combating sexual assault, but he's having like an affair with his secretary. I don't know. There were some good ideas that were potentially going to be explored, but then they just didn't get explored properly. And the story itself just didn't really get told very well. Like, it opens up with this murder of this wealthy DC family, and then you don't really find out who killed them or why. Like, we don't get an answer to the focal point of the story, which was this sets of murders. And the sets of murders is like a catalyst for some other things happening in the book and for other characters' journeys, but they don't really end up actually dealing with the actual mystery of that murder. So I just think lots of room for improvement there. And I mean, it's very difficult to criticize people because I'm not sure I could write a book, but it was a bit disappointing. I'm glad I took it out of the library. This is one thing I will say from that experience, is that I think it's great to take advantage of your library, because if you are curious about a book, or if you have expectations for a book and then you buy it and it's really not good, guess what? I mean, maybe you could return it. I think Indigo here in Canada has a really generous return policy, but I mean, I'm sure I would muck it up enough that they wouldn't want me to return it. And then you're stuck with this book. That's no good. So yay, libraries. That's my moral for this. I didn't know that was going to be my moral for today, but yay, libraries. Okay, so I didn't go in order of like the ones I like the most to the ones I like the least, because if I had done that, definitely these two would have been there, but I did a vlog on them, so I decided to start with those. So I think from here on out, I'm going to go from the ones that I liked the least or had mixed feelings about to the ones that I really, really liked. So let's see. Books that I had mixed feelings about. Let's talk about Second Place. This book was recommended to me by a local bookseller, and she just loved this book and really insisted that I read it. So I really took her on her recommendation, and I was disappointed. I really wanted to like this book, Second Place by Rachel Cusk, and it has gotten a ton of attention, but I just had like difficulty with the story. There is no story. Well, there's a story in the book, but it's not much of a story. And I think that's the reason why I had problems with it. I think that she makes some very poignant and interesting observations about life, about being a woman, I guess, of a certain age, because the main character only referred to, it's written from the perspective of the main character. So, and she refers to herself as M, and she's telling a story to another character called Jeffers, which I haven't done there's an author's note, and I haven't taken the time to read the author's note in the back. I saw someone talking about how they did some research and they discovered that that was a poet, so maybe I would understand it better, but I don't think it's right that we should have to figure these things out as readers. I mean, I don't need to be beaten over the head, but I also don't need to like try to figure out what the writer was intending. I don't know, I guess I found it to be like, is it terrible for me to say that I found it to be like a bit pretentious? I don't know. It's obviously a very intellectual book. It's very much in her head and the thoughts that she thinks about, but it's not done in the way that, like earlier this year, I read Rebecca. I didn't know that I would compare this to Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And in that book, you're very much in the main character's head, but in a way that is so, the main character is so vulnerable. And I didn't feel like the main character in this book was particularly vulnerable. And she wasn't I didn't find her to be a character that I could connect with. So anyhow, it tells a story about a woman who has a property and invites a painter to come and stay on that property. And the painter comes with his youngish girlfriend, and it's just about what kind of transpires in the time that he's there. And like I said, there's not really that much of a story to it. It's a lot in her head and her thoughts and her ruminations. And like I said, there were some insightful like snippets, but there isn't that much of a plot to the story. I know there's a lot of people out there who are going to have they're going to be pissed at me because people really love this book, but it just didn't hit for me. So I wouldn't give this as a gift to anyone in the same way that I would give the other ones. Anyway, sorry, Second Place. Sorry, Rachel Cusk. I don't know. Maybe I should try to read some other of her stuff. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just me and I'm not getting it. Another book that I kind of have mixed feelings about that I just finished, that I read kind of over Halloween period, is My Heart is a Chainsaw. And I've checked the reviews on Goodreads, and I do think that people had sort of mixed feelings about this. It opens really strong. There's an opening scene for this book that's really giving you what you think you're gonna get when you buy a book with of slash across the cover. Okay, so there's a pretty violent opening scene that is a horror scene, and it's excellent. It's so well written. And then from there, the book kind of, everything gets really muddy in the telling of the story, in the sense that I'm pretty, I mean, I'm not going to say that like I'm a genius or something. I don't know, maybe I'm a dummy. I had a really hard time following this book. I got really confused in parts. It was very, very difficult to follow. And I've read some reviews that say like if you're really concentrating, that this book requires that you concentrate. I mean, I read every word and I concentrate, but I still was very lost. Like, I didn't know if certain characters had been killed, or if someone who was killing them. Like, it was just got very, very confusing. And the action didn't really pick up until near the end of the book. So the opening scene sets you up for this very action-filled story, and then not much happens until very close to the end. So I think there are some real pacing problems with this book. Maybe it's intentional. Maybe I'm missing something. I will always acknowledge that I could be missing something. And please do say in the comments below if you have a different perspective on any of the books that I'm talking about. That's exactly why I'm here, is for us to engage in a conversation, right? Apparently this is supposed to be part of a trilogy though. So if another book comes out, like if it's a prequel, I would totally read it, because it was really well written, in the sense that the use of language and the way, you know, experience by the main character is expressed. The main character, Jade, is obsessed with 80s slasher movies, and part of the way the story gets told is that it's told through a series of essays that she writes for her history teacher, and those are fantastic. And the character Jade is really well developed, but there's something about like the middle of the book and the way that the action is explained is pretty hard to follow for some of it, and I just think that was a turnoff for me. So I have really mixed feelings about this book. I really want to love it, and there are a lot of things that I like about it, but I can't get away from how confused I felt when I was reading it. And I just don't know if that was the intention or not. Like, maybe it was supposed to be so confusing and chaotic that that's how it's supposed to feel. But anyway, I think maybe I should read another one of his, because I have heard, what's it called? I think it's called like The Last Final Girl or something. Stephen Graham Jones, if you've read any of this author's work before and you have a suggestion for me, I would be absolutely open to hearing about it. I don't know how I feel about that book still. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. That's a weird feeling. And then the last 4 books that I'm going to talk about, yes, there are 4 more. I'm trying to keep this under 40 minutes, so. But I am very chatty, so forgive me. Okay, so another book that I got at a library, and this one I loved and I wish I had bought, and maybe I will still buy. It is Infinite Country by Patricia Engle. I loved this book. It was so good. The opening line is, it was her idea to tie up the nun, which is incredible. And then from there, you discover that she is in like a reform school in Colombia, in her native country. And she is there because she committed a crime. And it's one of those crimes, like, I don't want to ruin the book for you guys, but so it's one of those crimes where she thought she was doing the right thing, and it turns out it was a crime. So she's, you know, there are social justice issues here, there are immigration issues here, there's racism covered here. There's so much covered in this story. So the book is about has a lot of different important ideas that are explored. So it's about Talia, and it's about her trying to escape to America to be with her family because her family is split. It goes back and tells the story of her parents and about their escape from Colombia, and about being immigrants in America and things like always being afraid of being deported, but then also immigrating to America to escape the problems, like the violence, socioeconomic problems that they were experiencing at home in Colombia, only to move to America where they don't fit in, and they have very similar problems in America to the ones they were trying to get away from. So it's like they're escaping to America. So they're escaping from the problems to escape to the problems. And then they yearn to be back at home. And Like, it's just a very complex story about what it means to be displaced. And I just really, really loved it. It's a little bit heavy and it does deal with sexual assault. So I think, you might want to keep that in mind. I'm not so sure about the idea of giving it as a gift. It would really depend on the person and how serious they are. But it was an excellent, excellent book. Oh my gosh, I have to read more of her work. I really, really enjoyed that book. I highly recommend it. And then I had started this book in the summer. I think in July, I had it on my TBR for August or for July, and I just got completely sidetracked and wasn't able to finish it. Not because it wasn't good, because I really did enjoy this story. This story is so creepily exact in describing a pandemic and what happens when there's a pandemic. Except that this story is a lot more apocalyptic than COVID has been in terms of like wiping out population. But oh my gosh, there are so many parallels. It was so spooky to read this. This book is so good. It's the story of Candace is the main character. She works for a publishing house. She travels to China before the outbreak and to visit her suppliers, and then comes back to New York. And then there's this outbreak of a fever that originates in Shenzhen. And the fever spreads and they lock down and they block all travel from China. And like the parallels are pretty wild. But this book has a lot more of a like Walking Dead feel to it as well, because there's one really intense scene with somebody who's fevered. There's a group that's trying to survive, like as a small kind of group community that's very cult-like that she joins. And I won't say anything else because I think that's enough to pitch it. Like that would be enough for me to read it. So I think that's enough to pitch it. But it's totally worth it. If you can handle reading about a pandemic, a fever, a virus that wipes society out. I don't know if you can handle that, but if you can handle that, there's something very cathartic about reading about this. But it was scarily, eerily similar in some ways. So yeah, Severance by Layne. Very, very, very good. And then I read Therese, Raquin. So this is a classic that I read by Emile Zola, and it's a translation. I had decided at the beginning of this year that I was going to read more French books, and I haven't read any more French books. So I guess I'll move that challenge. That will be like a carryover challenge until next year. But I found this book in the book box, and oh my gosh, it's so good. Oh my gosh. So it's set in Paris. It's about the story of Therese Raquin, who is in arranged marriage with her cousin who's very sickly. And I don't want to give away what happens, but she falls in love with someone else. And then they have to figure out a way so that they can be together. It says Therese Raquin caused a scandal when it appeared in 1867. And brought its 27-year-old author a notoriety that followed him throughout his life. Zola's novel is not only an uninhibited portrayal of adultery, madness, and ghostly revenge. Adultery, madness, and ghostly revenge. I'm telling you, this is such a good read. This is one of my best reads of the year for sure. And it's short. It's short-ish. Yeah, it's only 200 pages. It's so good. Go, run, don't walk. It's weird to say this about a novel that was written in 1867, but it is extremely good. It's so dark. Ugh, I enjoyed it so much. Anyway, I think this is a pretty good translation too. Translated by Robin Buss. Anyway, fully enjoyed this. And then I'm going to finish off Detransition Baby. I just was able to vote for this in the Goodreads Award. What can I say? I mean, this book is so good. So this is the story of a couple, Reese and Ames, who are no longer a couple, but Ames has decided, well, hasn't decided, but is having a baby. And then it's about Reese wanting to include, or Ames wanting to include Reese in the rearing of his child. And it's the woman that he has a child with is straight, and it's about how they try to manage this potential three-way parenting relationship that includes Reese. Ames was trans and detransitioned, and Reese is trans. And this book is so fantastic. It's very, very well written. It's very engaging. There's so much interesting storytelling happening here from the perspective of a trans woman and someone who was a trans woman who detransitioned. It's fantastic. It's phenomenal. I enjoyed it very much, and I learned so much about that very particular experience that I know nothing about. I mean, even though, you know, it's fiction. So anyway, I can't say enough about Torry Peters' work here, and I really think that it deserves high recognition. And if you haven't read Detransition Baby yet, you really need to read it because it's really, really good. You know, it may have some flaws, but it's a bit long, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what the flaws are, but, you know, it took me a while to read, but it's because, you know, it's very descriptive and the stories are very vivid. And it was just fantastic. So yeah, that's my wrap up, y'all. I think that's it. I'm trying to think, did I read anything else? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. There's a couple that I really want to finish, but I'm not finished them yet. So if you've stuck around for this amount of time, if you've stuck through the video all the way to the end, you know, you're my #1 hero. And I guess if you like what you're seeing on my channel, please subscribe. I'm going to start to more actively post videos. I know I haven't been very consistent and the algorithm hates that, but I'm going to more consistently post videos. I think every Sunday is my goal. And I'm definitely going to be posting a video every Sunday over the Christmas and holiday season because I'm going to be doing a couple of vlogs, and I'm participating in the Reindeer Readathon. If you don't know about it, please check out my video where I talk about my TBR for the Reindeer Readathon. Go Team Candy Cane. I'm on Team Candy Cane. I thought I was on Team Snowflake because the information went to my spam folder, and I, like a dummy, I didn't check my spam folders. I'm really excited. I'm going to get a lot of reading done and try to be more consistent about filming and vlogging and all that good stuff. So like I say, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you have any comments on any of the books that I've read and you have a different opinion than me, man, I welcome it. Share your opinion. Tell me I'm wrong. I like it. It just makes me dig in my heels more. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't like this video, maybe just give it to yourself. Huh? Bye! That was so fun. Okay. Next up. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I just think it's fantastic that you're down to hear my thoughts. I just think that's amazing. So thanks for watching. I just felt like maybe I didn't review it, so I thought I should. Well, if I did review this book already, you can watch another wrap-up where I review this book.